Atmosphere in games is a powerful tool that, if done well, can make for the most immersive gaming experiences. And if done poorly, well...
Where do I go? There's nowhere for me to go. It's like a fucking Home Bargains version of the BioShock Infinite intro. My bad, I had to get blown out the fucking sky to make progress. And it's raining underwater. Of course it is.
You fucked up my face. Are you sure?
It tends to bring you out of the experience. Halo has always excelled in this aspect, whether it be the grand battles or the ambient moments that let you reflect on the story beats you've just digested. You're able to experience the emotions of the narrative and explore subtler stories and world building without being bombarded by cutscenes that tell you exactly how to feel and what's currently going on. Think about that first time the Forward Unto Dawn came into the atmosphere during the arc. The blaring music hailing this massive frigate that blows away everything on the battlefield. It's badass as fuck, and the fact that it's followed up by the iconic lines,
Hank beats Ghost, Hank beats Hunter, Hank beats everything! Oh man, I could do this all day!
It's almost impossible to not feel hyped as you cut through the Covenant forces, demonstrating the might of humanity's determination. You know that with this much firepower being deployed, we can't afford to lose, and that really gets you hyped. On the contrary, think of the subtler moments like the beginning of Uprising in Halo 2. The somber weather besets the dark discovery of the Schism through the eyes of the Arbiter who sees his fellow elites slaughtered by the brutes. This and the beautiful OST Heavy Price Paid, which accompanies you through this depressing moment, lets you feel the Arbiter's grief without the need for any dialogue to tell you this. Today, I want to show you 4 mods that attempt to capture Halo's mastery of atmosphere to varying levels of success. Each mod provides an enjoyable experience with their own strengths and weaknesses. Whilst I don't think any of these mods are bad by any means, and I assure you I thoroughly enjoyed my time with them, I feel some ideas weren't executed as well as they could have been, but I'll cross that bridge in time. So, let's get into it, shall we? If you're anything like me, your favourite levels from Halo 2 were those that occurred on Delta Halo. The beautiful environments, gorgeous gloomy weather, mysterious foreigner structures, and actually being able to experience what it's like to drop in behind enemy lines with ODSTs really made me fall in love with those levels. Second Strike brings you back to those missions, capturing the intrigue and more. Second Strike is a campaign mission with a simple premise. Drop behind enemy lines, eliminate anti-aircraft guns, and press through a retrofitted foreigner facility to board a Covenant supercarrier. One thing I really like during the first section of the mission is the tight valleys and cliffside paths you travel through, creating combat encounters in tight spaces forcing head-to-head combat. I feel linear sections like this work well when you're fighting behind enemy lines. It's a reminder that you're fighting on the enemy's terms and not your own. You have to make the most of the initial surprise attack the infiltration provides, as once the enemy is onto you, you've really got to buckle down and prepare for an impressive fight. Whilst this mission doesn't provide anything groundbreaking in terms of objectives, its use of background details really caught my eye. Banshees and Phantoms traverse across the sky throughout several points in the mission in the background. Within the Forerunner structure, we see the Covenant as part of their vehicles, showing how they are turning the structure into a base. It serves as a reminder that we are infiltrating, and this is the Covenant's turf. During the infiltration of the Covenant supercarrier, rooms are filled with Covenant weapon caches, personnel roaming around, and vehicles locked in storage. Those that aren't will have background features like Banshees flying. Personally, when I see these details, it gets me thinking about what is happening around me during the mission. What are the Covenant transporting? What are they doing in the structure and the supercarrier? It keeps my intrigue and makes for a diegetic experience that honestly just makes the world feel alive and like it doesn't just revolve around you. Whilst not necessarily relevant to the atmosphere, I really enjoyed how Second Strike incorporated several elements from Halo 3's campaign. The anti-aircraft gun section felt like it had been inspired by Halo 3's Storm, and now that I think about it, actually Halo reaches tip of the spear as well.
There's a Covenant AA gun in the next area.
That's from Halo 3! Okay, that's pretty cool. But they'd been fluently translated into Halo 2. Some might think that this is cheap or lazy, but I think that it's a sign of how much love a creator has for the franchise as a whole, incorporating their favourite moments from the franchise into their own mission. Forerunner interiors took great inspiration from Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 3, with Halo Combat Evolved's Forerunner structures from the mission Halo making an appearance, which was a nice reference, and the main Forerunner structures feeling like Halo 3's The Ark. There's also the big glass observation rooms and hangars, which felt very much inspired from Halo 2's The Arbiter, you know, the hangars where you had to get into the heretic banshees and whatnot. It lets the mod creator show off the environment to you, and you get to experience it without it feeling like it's forced. Speaking of Halo 3 and Halo Combat Evolved, weapons from those games ported into the mod, which was a surprise for sure. The Spiker appears, as well as the reskinned pistol to replicate the Halo Combat Evolved Magnum. A whole new weapon in the form of a Grunt plasma rifle, which feels like a middle ground between the fire rates of the standard and brute variation, was introduced, which really caught me by surprise. It wasn't necessary, but it was pretty cool, if not just a small detail. Overall, Second Strike brings you an immersive custom campaign mission that feels authentic to the Halo experience. If someone told me this was a cut level from Halo 2 Restored, I'd probably believe them. And that's not an insult to it being incomplete, it's more the fact that the tools that are already available to the creator have been used so well that, you know, it feels official in the means that we have. I'll level with you. This next one is an utter shitpost of a campaign mission, but this is by no means a bad thing. Remember when you played Halo Combat Evolved for the first time and got to the Warthog run? You saw that timer and panicked as pretty much everything blew up around you? Yeah, well this mod takes that to a whole other level. Saving Private Dustin Echoes tasks you with doing exactly that. Except it's really not that simple, because Private Dustin Echoes is trapped in a prison on one of the fragments of the now shattered Halo ring you just blew up. You have 15 minutes to fight through hordes of Covenant, Flood, and Sentinels, whilst the very environment around you blows up. No time for dawdling in this mod, you've got to hustle, and the mod throws everything at you to keep you from the legend himself. I absolutely adored the atmosphere of this mod. Being on a shattered ring fragment flung into space is already insane, but honestly you don't have the space to take the TIE box in, because all around you is carnage. Plenty of skirmishes litter the map, with 3 factions fighting desperately to live, despite everyone likely going to die in the end anyway. There's this feeling of desperation incorporated into the mod that makes me feel like a kid trying to survive their parents arguing, except my parents are a hyper-religious alien empire and an all-consuming alien parasite. Oh, and the Sentinels? Yeah, they're just my family's Roomba or some shit, I don't really know. But for once, you're not actually trying to be the killer machine that saves the day. You're just going in there trying to get through all the enemies fighting each other to extract Private Dustin Echoes and get out, which means you have to ignore a lot of the chaos, otherwise you'll run out of time. And I really love this. I died a lot of times because I tried to take on everything at once, when really I just needed to focus on my objective. Every part of this mission feels well crafted and aimed at making player panic, which is such a thrill. My only criticism for this short mission is that Dustin Echoes' AI is a bit shit, so it can be difficult to get him to follow, which is stressful. I ended up having to brute force it and carry on causing him to teleport to me every now and again. But this doesn't make it a bad mod. This shit is a blast. I haven't played a mod that incorporated faction warfare with you just being in between so well before. And even though, like I said earlier, it's a shitpost, it really gets you pumped to go and save Private Dustin Echoes, to literally put your life and everything on the line just to go and save this one guy. It's like there's this room where a bunch of Sentinels are just falling down and everything's exploding, and I kept dying to it because I didn't realize that I kind of just needed to let things play out and pick off enemies, and stuff like that is really fun. It gets you to actually think about how you encounter these things. You can't just run in and gun everyone down. Quantum Sea takes a silent cartographer and through changes in weather gives it a gloomy spin. Our objective is the same as the standard mission, except a lot of cut Halo Combat Evolved content has been added to give the silent cartographer a fresh experience that goes well with the new atmosphere of this mod. Expect new encounters, new details, new weapons and vehicles, along with new sections of the map unavailable in the original Silent Cartographer, such as the upper level of the island, which was only available in the Death Island multiplayer map from the Halo Combat Evolved PC port. I could go on about all the new additions, but that isn't really what drew me to playing this mod. Quantum C's use of the skybox and lighting creates a completely new feeling mission. Unlike the original mission, here we're amidst this superstorm that completely greys the sky, with only a few rays of light beaming in between the clouds. This gives the mission an incredibly somber feeling, with a daunting storm approaching, giving you the impression we shouldn't be sticking around. It's incredible how small changes to the lighting and skybox change what is originally a high energy level to a slower and more cozy level, if that makes sense. Interiors provide a comfortable feeling, like when you come in from the rain and get dry, whilst being outside feels heavy and encumbering. Maybe I sound crazy, but I just wanted to sit and admire the environment as the storm rolls in. Nature is not on your side during this mission, and that's exciting because it's not an enemy we can fight, but one we have to persevere against. And whilst it doesn't actually affect you in any way, there's no lightning strikes that just absolutely obliterate you from the face of the earth, like God just specifically targeted you for being a bastard, but the environment's constructed well enough that it feels like that could happen, and that really gets you immersed in the experience. Furthering on this point, I also liked how there seems to be Covenant mass and infrastructure set up to navigate the inclement weather, which was a neat touch. It further feeds into nature being an enemy that not even the almighty Covenant can fight against. We're all equally powerless to it. If you want to see how changes in weather can reshape a mission's atmosphere, then I would highly suggest you play this mod. Even though it's mostly standard Silent Cartographer, you're gonna feel like you're actually stepping on that wet sand at the beach, stuck in between those toes of yours. Just don't be bewildered when you realize you're playing as an anime girl. I promise you it's for the immersion. Even if it just made me end up talking like an anime girl through it. I'm not gonna lie. When I started playing this mod, I wasn't sure if I wanted to include it, as I didn't really think it fit the atmosphere focus theme of this video, but this changed when I reached the end of the first mission. A holdout section where you and a group of Marines fight against waves of Covenant aircraft. It pretty much felt like a last stand, and I love being a fellow Marine, as this mod uses the Halo 3 ODST engine, so we're no super soldier here. If you haven't guessed yet, I'm talking about the mod ODST Mission's Homefleet Campaign. This mod is a free mission look into what was going to be a full campaign, and as such things are a bit rough around the edges, which is understandable. Each mission feels like it wants to capture a different theme and feeling, all through the eyes of an ODST, grounding you in the world of a UNSC foot soldier fighting against impossible odds. This is aided by the anthology approach of the mod, having each mission take place as a different ODST and a completely different feeling following that. I'm not sure if this was the modder's intention or because it's a custom campaign that wasn't complete and it's just what was salvaged. It might just be random spots, but I think it's aided by this approach all the same. The first mission takes place during Crow's Nest from Halo 3, is set through the eyes of an ODST, fending off the Covenant assault on the base. This mission excels at having you depend on your allies and your allies depend on you. Dialogue is present, however, as this mod is incomplete, it's unvoiced and subtitles only, which I tried my best to read whilst playing, and the dialogue was solid, but it's very hard to keep track of it when you're actually playing the game. It definitely created a sense of camaraderie, and given you're not a Spartan, your best hope at surviving is fighting in a squad. Conflicts are a lot harder when you're not able to just rush through with your constantly regenerating shields, stronger guns, and which I don't know why Halo 3 ODST did that with the guns were weaker just because you're a different, you're not a super soldier, but whatever. And yeah, you might be wondering why I said the end part of the mission pulled me into including this mod in the video, and that's because it brings the best parts of this mission into one section. You're a group of Marines, both wounded and not, fighting for your lives whilst waiting for evac. Much like Lone Wolf from Halo Reach, it fulfills our weird desire for a last stand, when we're heroically giving everything for our teammates. Everything before this moment, rescuing wounded Marines throughout the base, has led us here, and we can't afford to give up now. If you ever imagined having a tight band of brothers in a war scenario as if you're watching Save It Private Ryan or Full Metal Jacket, then you'll really enjoy this mission. It uses both gameplay mechanics and cinematics through, the theming of the mission to give you this sense of dependency, as mentioned earlier. And I feel like if this mod, you know, this mission was actually fully completed, because it did break for me at the end, I'm not gonna lie, it could be a really enjoyable experience that grounds you as an ODST. Mission 2 is different in that it focuses more on the UNSC being the aggressor, their full military might on display instead of being on the run like in the first mission. We deploy from a UNSC aircraft carrier off the coast of Zanzibar and fight our way through the Covenant occupation of the facility. I was really surprised by the use of an aircraft carrier. Usually Halo focuses on starships, which understandably have replaced aquatic vehicles, you know, them being given like naval ship names and all that, which, you know, this gave this section a unique feeling. I imagine that the UNSC were using whatever means they had to stage an assault and recapture the power plant. Currently in the story, the UNSC is doing everything they can to protect their last bastion, Earth, and the use of old world technology feeds into this desperation to keep Earth safe by any means necessary. During this mission, you even get a stayer or Org A3, which feels so out of place for Halo, but personally I chose to interpret it that it was just what was left available to the UNSC given how desperate they were. The second half of this mission is a rescue mission on the multiplayer map High Ground, where a squad of UNSC Marines are holding out against waves of Covenant attackers. We are deployed behind those attackers and mop them up as we push through to the base, resecuring an EMP missile launcher so we could fire it to disable the shield of a Covenant supercarrier. This mission is very short, but encapsulates what an ODST is. I think it's easy to forget that they are the UNSC's top soldiers, as they're always playing as the Spartans, who are, you know, something else entirely, a whole different league. But these guys don't have any of the genetic modifications or Mjolnir armor, yet we're able to turn the tide into our favor during this mission. It feels like we're playing a mission that the ODSTs were built for, and I really like that a lot. There's even a surprise at the end of the mission, which plays like that one mission in Call of Duty 4 where you crawl out of the helicopter after the nuke goes off, except here it's the Flood, which is arguably way worse. It sets up the third mission, and I think is a unique way of displaying the horror of the Flood, which, you know, juxtaposes how much power we felt in this mission, where we're just completely hopeless. Mission 3 was definitely my favourite, as it felt the strongest narratively and thematically, using the post-arc portal Flood invasion of Earth to tell a story from the ground as a non-super soldier. As opposed to the last mission where we actually felt somewhat powerful and we could even the odds, here it starts with us crawling our way out of a crashed longsword we were in and making our way through Halo 3's Sasavo Highway backwards. Admittedly, the beginning of the mission does drag quite a bit, but it helps set up the Flood's arrival, and I feel that with the proper time, this could be a really powerful introduction to the Flood. Now, it goes without saying, we've all played, or at least seen, the Flood's introduction in Halo Combat Evolved, so this could never be as terrifying and powerful as that moment. But I think it's a strong contender, and would capture the same feelings if someone played this mod without seeing Halo Combat Evolved. Wreckages and evidence of skirmishes litter the battlefield, yet everything's silent, and a group of Covenant brutes you encounter along the way look as confused as you are. And it's only until you hear gunshots in the distance that you have somewhere to go. Making your way towards them, you enter into yet another last stand, fending off waves of Flood until elite reinforcements arrive, which is pretty cool. I would be put off by a second last stand scenario, but the theatrics of this one are just too cool to be annoyed at. Seeing waves of Flood descend from the cliff sides as you try to rally with your Marines is just incredible. I mean, at one point I was terrified as I tried to shoot the infection forms off an ally. It's the quintessential Marine experience. Once the Sangheili arrive, you can feel the tides turn, which is a good way of demonstrating just how powerless the UNSC were fighting the Flood until the Shadow of Intent arrives. And I feel that's what this mission really tries to encapsulate. It's the powerlessness you have as a Marine against the Flood. When you play as Master Chief, you have your armor that is impenetrable to the Flood, so the infection forms are a minor inconvenience and you'll get by mostly fine, but you don't have that luxury here, and neither do your teammates. You all have to work together, and that's something that you don't get from the standard Halo experience, so it was really cool to see it here. And like I said earlier, I feel that if this was your first introduction to the Flood and it was given the proper time to develop, because obviously this was a scrap campaign, it could be almost as strong as it was in Halo Combat Evolved. A new enemy, you have no idea. But because we've played Halo 3, or you've seen it, or you know the Flood, it was never going to be as powerful. Overall, Homefleet Campaign gives us a brief look into what I feel could have been an incredible custom campaign, and it's a shame that it's no longer being worked on. A lot of mods attempt to capture the feeling of a regular soldier in the Halo universe, and I feel here it's done really well thematically. I've always wished that the Battle for Earth would be explored more, and this mod scratches that desire, and would really scratch that desire if it was completed. Because in Halo 3, it all just happens in a flash, and a lot of the time the fights we're doing aren't really about protecting Earth, it's the greater picture. So it's cool to be grounded in a more localized fight. So that was a look at 4 mods which contain immersive atmospheres in their own unique ways. Each one has a story to tell in its own unique way, or unique changes to the environment, which I think is a very strong aspect of the Halo experience. So to see that be used to create these unique experiences or change experiences that we've already done, like Quantum C, is really exciting, and I definitely love that sort of thing. It goes without saying that mods are a very powerful thing that can be used to convey someone's love for the franchise. And although mods like Mercury Rising, where it's completely fresh campaigns of fresh stories, are absolutely sublime and I love them, I also really like changes or mods that just use what's already there, you know, to create something new, to change the way that a mission played, to create a whole new mission that just uses assets of a game, like Second Strike. When planning this video, I wanted to showcase mods that all have something in common, something that connects Halo creators and appeals to them. Atmosphere is a very powerful tool, and I'd like to think it's a part of Halo a lot of us were enraptured by. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you could enjoy my spin on Halo mod coverage. I can't lie, I find a lot of joy in making these, and we'll probably make a few more. And I'm sorry that it takes so long for me to get these out. These videos are the ones I enjoy most making. I'll probably make a few more, but if there's anything you guys want me to cover or do, please let me know, because I'm always open to experiencing things that have been suggested and giving you my interpretation of them. Thank you so much, as always, and until next time,